What's up, travelers? You have found the podcast that is here to explore the world. We are 5 travel experts, hooked on our trade, and ready to share our tales from around the world. You're listening to the Where We Roam podcast. Without further ado, let's roam. Hello, roamers, and welcome to this week's episode of the Where We Roam podcast. My name is John, and I am joined by my fellow podcasters. Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Good. Hi,
John.
Doing
good.
Doing good to see you all. I know that, on our normal podcast feed, everybody has, we haven't skipped a beat, but we haven't recorded in 2 weeks. It's good to see everybody.
Yeah.
I know.
This
That's what you've
this
been
is our-
gone.
It's been too
This
long.
is our first true break that I think
Yeah.
we've had, right?
Yeah.
For real.
Mhm.
So, and it's mostly my fault. I was
It
gone
is.
last week.
It
for
is
an
your
entire
fault.
week. Yeah, what are you going to do? So, actually, we're going to talk about my trip that I took last week. And I just returned from beautiful Hotel Xcaret, Mexico. I took my family of 4, and then also my brother and his family came, and it was terrible. I absolutely hated every second of it. No, just kidding. It was honestly one of the most amazing vacations we've had as a family. It was a lot of fun.
It
How
really
many
looks
nights were y'all
like
there?
it.
We did 7 nights, and I'm before we get to anything else, I'm just gonna say, because yesterday, was it yesterday, Corinne, you messaged me, or the day before, you're like, how many, in our group chat, you're like,
Yeah.
how many nights do you think you should go? How many is enough? And I'm like, literally, I said 14. You could do 14 days and and still not do everything. It is insane how much there is to do between Hotel Xcaret and then all of the inclusions. But it was,
Yeah.
we
This
we
is
feel
a
like we
massive
scratched
property.
it.
This
It
is
is
one of
insane.
the 15 different resorts that John and I toured back in 2021, and I think both of us just fell in love with the look, the aesthetic, the inclusions, which we'll get to. This was one of the highlights during our time in Cancun. We were checking out different resorts.
It was.
So I can understand why it was on your bucket list to get back to, for sure.
Yeah, it was one of the things we wanted to check off, and we did it within 3 years of when it took us a while to get there, honestly, but I'm so glad we were finally able to make the timing work with, everything we were doing, and my brother was able to join us. But to give you
want
sort
the
of an
kids
idea.
to be old enough too.
Well, that's the other thing, is my youngest,
Yeah.
3 years ago would have not been able to enjoy this resort at all. And we'll get to that in a moment. But I'm just going to give an overview of what they say Hoteles Xcaret, because really it's 3 resorts in one. You have the original that opened in 2017. That's Hotel Xcaret Mexico. That is the family-friendly resort. That is the resort that I went to. Then you have Hotel Xcaret Arte, which is sort of the mirror sister resort that is kind of like on the other side of the, if you ever see an image of this, of the other side of the giant spiral, kind of pyramid almost looking thing they call Espiral with a church on top. The other side of that is Hotel Xcaret Arte, and that is adults only. And then you also have a brand new resort that just opened, I believe, last year in 23 called Casa de la Playa. That is more of a boutique style, and that is along the ocean front on the other side of Hotel Xcaret Arte. And that is a boutique, definitely higher end, like a true luxury resort, where this is like flirting with luxury, but is definitely premium category.
So do they have any?
That's what I was going to ask, Dana. Are there like exchange privileges between them?
So from my end, so as of this has changed a lot in the last 3 years. So as of right now, Casa de la Playa can go to either resort. Anyone can come to Hotel Xcaret just to eat at the one, basically it's
Fine
a paid
dining.
upgrade resort. It's a fine dining experience, correct? And then beyond that, there's not a lot of exchange privileges. I do know that if you're staying basically what is called club level, which would be over at Arte, if you were in the Artistas building, you have exchange privileges. And I believe also if you're staying in Fuego, which is the club level in Hotel Xcaret Mexico side, you also have exchange privileges. But there are very few room categories that can go back and forth now.
Interesting. But if you're exchanging from the family resort, if you're in that club, the Fuego, is that what you said was the club level at?
It is,
you have to
but
be
it's
adult
adults
only. Yeah, so you have to be.
So if
you
you're
were
there with
staying
your
in that-
family,
yeah.
you have no exchange privileges whatsoever.
Good to
But
know.
could the adults in there go and like if the kids stayed with another family?
No.
Okay.
Like if they were on paper in another room?
No, like if like you and your family with your brother, like y'all obviously probably had 2 rooms. So let's say like you left your kids with your brother and his wife and their kids, and you and Steffi went over. Could y'all go over?
Dana's trying to work the system.
I'm trying to work it a little bit.
You cannot. You could definitely not go over there. You have to have a special bracelet that indicates your fuego to be able to cross over.
So you can't leave the kids at the pool and just go over there.
No, not at all. Unfortunately, not.
So
anyway,
John, can you give us a bit of a description of what this resort is like? What is the feel of Xcaret?
Okay, so the way I would describe, I just want to emphasize that the majority of our discussion in this episode is going to be on Hotel Xcaret Mexico, since I've not stayed at Arte or Casa de la Playa, so we'll really be focusing in on the family-friendly resort. As far as the resort feel and style, it is like a luxury vibe. It's everything is very upscale, very nice, but it is like nature, eco, adventure focused. So when you're there, there's I don't know how to describe it. When you're in like the rooms, like the tiles in the showers, like obviously it's like a rain shower head and like there's beautiful glass, like floor to ceiling glass, and it's beautiful. But like it's all done by like Mexican artisans, so everything is done in all the touches from Mexico, all of like the hand carved wood furniture to the tiles in the shower. Those were hand painted in, I want to say, Pueblo, Mexico. So I mean, it is very much Mexican themed, very authentic Mexico, but it is a little bit of like a. So when I stayed at Atelier, I was talking to our rep at Atelier, and she says Atelier is like Mexico City. It's very modern Mexico. Xcaret is like, it's not quite a fairy tale, but it is definitely celebrating the history of Mexican culture, and it's a really cool vibe, or a really cool blend between the Mayan culture that was there first, and then also the Spanish culture that kind of influenced and kind of created this unique Mexican vibe.
You could get a feel. Again, I'm just speaking of the time that I was on property back in 21. You could get a feel that they were really bringing in the history of Mexico, but just really just highlighting like a sophisticated look and feel of that history. I mean, it was just beautiful. The architecture, the pathways, the bridges that connect one room to the other, or building to another. Everything was so cool.
Yeah, it's really
Over
really
in
well
Arte,
done.
Don't they do classes like basket weaving and other classes like that to kind of go with the history of everything too?
Yes. So there's a ton of inclusions. The one thing that Hotel Xcaret is really, really heavy on is what they call the all fun inclusive, right? It includes all of the things that you're going to be doing on resort, and then also all the inclusions off resort. There's one cool thing that they do, like we brought up, was the different artisan classes that are included on the adult side. And that's everything from basket weaving to crafts to these different art things you can take with you, like grab and go. You can take the base thing and take them back to your room. So the Arte side really leans into that authentic Mexican art.
Is there anything like that included on the family side?
Not on as far as like a day-to-day like included activity that I've seen.
Like that.
Not like a class that's happening all the time. Now that being said, there are activities happening throughout the day, but it's not quite the same as having like this art class that you can go to. Now they do have a schedule of activities, but honestly, you have to be on on the hotel site in order to do that, and you really spend so much time off of property at this resort.
Which we'll get to later on. But yeah, the things that they have you doing during this stay is pretty crazy. So yeah, to think that there are options if you're just going to stay on site, it's great. But that's not necessarily what this resort focuses on, and we'll talk.
No, absolutely, for sure. So we will get to the all fun inclusive portion of that later. Let's jump into I guess we didn't really talk about how we can get there. So this resort is 45 to 60 minutes south of Cancun Airport, And that's really important to know because all of the transportation round trip is included. And that's going to be like on a deluxe coach, like a bus. So from both international terminals at the Cancun airport, I'm looking for, they are expanding to the Tulum airport as the Tulum international flights.
That's really nice.
How was that?
That's really nice. So they include that.
The
'cause a lot
ride
of
from
those
the
don't.
airport. Oh yeah, the fact that they're included. But how's the ride from the airport?
So
is it rough?
We skipped the arrival one only because when you're on arrival, what happens is you get on the bus, you wait, and then there's a chance, depending on the order of pickup, that you may then go to the other international terminal, wait for those people to come, and then take off, and then you may stop at Arte first.
Gotcha.
And then go. So we are antsy to get on vacation.
It's like
exactly.
Yeah.
You don't know what your wait
good
time's going to
analogy.
be.
Yeah, so I surprised everybody and I arranged through Lomas, shout out to Lomas, a limo transfer for all 8 of us.
That's a slick move. That's a slick move.
Of course you did.
I know, I'm sorry. But it blew the kids' minds. Like it set such a high bar that they're like,
was it their first limo experience?
For all of them, 100%.
Yeah.
And they were all like the kids were in there. My kids and their cousins were in there. They're like, oh, people are going to be wondering who's inside of this.
Yes, exactly.
And
You feel like a
so
celebrity.
Yeah, exactly. They were loving it. They're loving every second of it. It was awesome. But to answer your question, we did take the return bus, and that was so smooth. It was extraordinarily easy, very comfortable. There were men's and women's bathrooms on board. I've never seen multiple bathrooms.
I like that.
On a bus. It was very cool. There was like complimentary like sodas and stuff like that in the back if you needed them. We didn't drink any of them either, and there was like a driver, and then there was also like an attendant to answer questions. It was like primo, well done. It's one of the best like transfers, like non-private transfers I've ever taken.
Not your typical bus transportation.
Do they leave
every
on the
30
hour?
minutes?
Every
30 minutes.
Okay.
So leaving the resort every 30 and leaving the airport every 30.
Nice.
So it is a well-oiled machine.
That's great. Good to know.
So you didn't get the letter in your room the night before, like you have to be outside waiting 4 hours before your flight.
They suggested 5, and we said no. and they said, okay, you're going to have to be willing to take it, and that's good. So we ended up doing 4, and it took us a little over an hour because there was a broken down vehicle, and you know how that is, and on that road stretch between Playa del Carmen and Cancun.
So they're trying to look out for your well-being to get to the airport.
They're also covering their own butts because if they make you miss a flight, they're responsible.
Knowing that you have a 45+ minute commute just to get to the airport, and that's a long stretch of road to have something happen.
Yeah. Right. And you're in a bus, you're not in a car that's moving quickly. So, which was fine. I was comfortable, and we got there with plenty of time, and we had, my wife and I had a bad experience at Cancun, so we paid to use the lounge there at the airport.
Yeah.
Because we, in the past, it is so loud. We've once been like, our flight arrived, like our plane arrived and had a flat tire. So we ended up sitting in the Cancun airport for 5 hours, and it is so loud. And neither of us are on the spectrum, but we felt like we like had a preview of how people who are easily overly stimulated feel. And it was just not great. Like it gave us like I had my AirPods in with noise cancellation, and it was still too much. So this time we said no. We'll spend the money. We'll go into this little thing. We made the reservation ahead of time, and it was well worth it.
Yeah,
perfect.
So let's jump over to the resort and talk rooms. Tell us about your room, your brother's room. Were they identical, or what'd you guys do?
Yeah. Okay. So let me go real quick. The way that the property is laid out, there are 5 different casas. You're going to have the Agua Casa, which is like over by the spa. You're going to have the Viento, which is like the area that's closest to the kid, like family pool. You're going to have Espiral, which is the most central. You're going to have Tierra, which is the one that's closest to the check-in. And then you have Fuego, which is the adults that is running perpendicular. Or no, I'm sorry, not perpendicular. It's running, what is the opposite of perpendicular?
Parallel.
Working. Parallel, thank you. Running parallel with the ocean. So, and that's the adults only. And so most of the suites are the exact same at Hotel Xcaret with 2 different bed arrangements. they're going to have either one king and a fold out or two queens and a couch. Our first room for the first 2 nights was we booked a river view room. And when we were there, we asked if there was any upgrades available, knowing that they have this category called a jump off suite or a platform suite that you can jump off into the river. And it's kind of like swim out, but more fun. Yeah. And it was only available the last 5 nights. So the first 2 nights we were in a 2 queen room. So we had a really nice preview of what that was like, with a beautiful view of the river, and with the chapel and everything in the background. It was gorgeous. The room was well appointed, had this really pretty light in there. And then
did they have the bathroom? The bathroom.
Yeah. So all of the bathrooms are kind of like so a common complaint is that there's a tub in the kind of like that just sticks out into the family room. A lot of families don't love that vibe, but it is a thing in Mexico, and it just is what it is. And then it had like a separate sliding door to the bathroom and the toilet. But then the toilet room itself has like this glass that if you push a button, it goes transparent. And if you push it,
that's fun.
Nice.
It is
why.
Interesting.
It's fun, but why?
Because maybe you need to see the river when you're going number 2. I don't know.
Maybe it helps get things going,
I don't know.
Flow.
So, but the rooms were gorgeous. The beds were super, super comfortable. The boys, so when we moved to the second room, which had the jump off suite, which was great. It's like maybe an 8-foot drop into the river. And it has like a ladder to climb back up. Yeah, it's fun. It's like,
wow.
It's kind of like not quite a high dive jump, but it's pretty high.
That's cool.
Yeah, all the kids did it, which was really brave. And they have like life vests, like life jackets waiting for you right there, which was cool. But yeah, it was great. But that room was a queen with a fold out. And the kids didn't really complain about the fold out, but I laid on it and it was not great. I'll just say that. So another thing that's important to know.
You couldn't put in there in that room.
There are no family
of 5.
This is the important thing about Hotel Xcaret. The rooms only accommodate families of 4.
Is there a connecting
across
option?
the board?
There is not.
They won't guarantee it.
Exactly. Megan knows. So they will not guarantee connecting rooms. They will not guarantee next to each other. It's a request only. So for families of 5 or 6, it becomes a very, very difficult booking situation
overall.
And we don't know why. It's just they have this weird policy that they don't guarantee connecting rooms, and you can't put more than 4 people in a room unless you do the family master suite, which is literally one room in one building, and then
nearly impossible to find availability.
Exactly. And then the family presidential suite. Now, I will say this: 2 rooms are going to be cheaper than the family master suite or the family presidential suite.
That's usually how it works.
If you've got to put one adult in each room and you don't know where those are located, that's not ideal either.
Right.
So
I will say they were really responsive. I had a family of 5. They were very responsive. They did put them next door to each other. But again, like John said, not guaranteed.
Was it connecting door or next? Do they have a connecting door inside?
No connecting door.
So it's next door. Okay, good to know.
So and the way that also works is that some of them, like how they on the new Icon of the Seas, where they have the external connecting door, where they have a selection of those available.
Okay,
so there's not a door that opens. But if you have 2 rooms next to it, it's not guaranteed. So if you have 5 small children, under the age of 10, this may be a very difficult, proposition to book. If you've got a kid that's like 13 or 14 who's more responsible, and maybe a 10-year-old and a 9-year-old, then maybe you could consider booking 2 rooms at Hotel Xcaret.
Yeah. If you're thinking of this resort, stop procreating. That's all. That's all there is to it, right?
Sean is sitting over there with 1 child.
Things always become complicated when when it's a family of 5.
Yeah.
It just
it is.
It is always like that.
Whether it's Disney, whether it's Royal, whether it's Xcaret, it gets tricky.
Yep.
It's
really always
does.
something. It's always.
Should have thought about that.
Right? Should have thought about that going back on
hindsight.
Yeah, which child would you have gotten rid of?
So John,
it's almost like
your
once you have
brother,
5, you have to have 6.
There you go.
Yeah, you need a little small army. What room style did your brother have? Did they do an upgrade as well, or what was
They did not. They just stuck with their river suite. They had 2 queens, but they actually had one that was like on the end of the building, so they had extra windows on the side.
Oh,
So,
that's
which is kind of
nice.
cool, which is beautiful view to nature during the day, sorry. But downside, it just had blinds, not blackout curtains. So come sunrise, there's a little bit more of like, like if you're in your own house and if you just have blinds instead of curtains, some light peeks through.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't work for Corinne's family.
No, because your baby is up.
Rolling.
So 6 a.m., Although I will say this, when we were there, sunrise was at 7, but light was about before that. But 7:17, our last morning, Steph and I got up to make the most of the day and went out on the beach for sunrise. It was great. Yeah.
So nice.
Do you want to talk to us a little bit about restaurants? Some of some of your
food.
favorites? Yes.
I would love to talk to you about restaurants. So I'll start off with, okay, go ahead, John.
And real quick, so I asked John about this yesterday after Corinne said, "Hey, how long could you possibly stay here?" And he said 14 days. And the thing that struck me was, how does this food hold up on a length of stay that long? Like, could you still?
I thought about this after we talked, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you can make it work. You can make it work. By day 10 or 11, you may be doing some repeats, welcome or unwelcome. Okay. So first and foremost, my favorite meal of the entire trip was which was their upgraded. So it is by chef. Oh no, his last name is Carlos Gaitan, I believe. He was the first chef from Mexico, first Mexican chef to receive a Michelin star.
Wow,
And
that's awesome.
Not for this restaurant, but for another. So then Hotel Xcaret said, "Come and open up this restaurant." So this restaurant has received all the other awards. I don't know that Mexican resorts are even available at this point, Cancun resorts are even reviewed by Michelin yet. But it's received the 5 Diamond, AAA 5 Diamond, Forbes, all of those things. This was phenomenal. So Steph and I went to a really fancy Michelin star restaurant in Napa. I would say was up there, same par. It was 9-course meal plus an amuse-bouche at the beginning, palate cleansers, towards the end, and the food, you skip a meal at lunch before you go to this place. We were stuffed. And typically when you go to these restaurants and there's 9 courses, they're going to be smaller bites, right? Our main, our 8th course comes, or 7th course, whatever. It's a full fillet, a full size fillet. And then we're just where are we putting this? How is this going to get inside of us? It was so much food.
And
we
the
also
kids
did the
didn't
wine
dine with
pairing.
you, did they?
They did not. They stayed at the kids club that night, which we'll
Nice.
talk more about that in a minute.
But you said they could.
They could. I believe
this
it's
isn't
not
adults only.
But I don't think anybody's bringing their kids, because I think it's $150 a plate. So it's something to consider.
Yeah.
175, not per plate, 175 a person with the wine pairing. So it's not terrible. I was going to ask
you about that. Yeah.
With the wine pairing. And the wine was all Mexican wine, which was great. One of the last option was not a wine, but it was a shot of tequila. So y'all would have loved that. That was fun.
Nice. Said Megan.
Although your stomach is so full.
No.
Speaking my language.
I know.
Not for me.
So that was maybe my favorite meal. And then I'd say my second favorite was maybe Las Cuevas, which was the what is it, Brazilian steakhouse that is in the caves. That was so
awesome.
My
good.
God.
I mean,
That atmosphere
as
looks
good,
so beautiful.
Yeah, as good as Texas de Brazil or any other Brazilian steakhouse. It was so
amazing.
Good. It was ridiculous. All the
right
meats
up
were
my alley.
amazing. The sides, everything was perfection. A phenomenal old fashioned. I'm not kidding. I ordered an old fashioned there, and
You
it was.
There it is.
I know. But that was the thing, is a lot of times all inclusives don't know how to make a good old fashioned.
That's true.
And this was
old fashioned
very good.
Italian food.
Was that was that restaurant included?
That 100% included. Every other restaurant's included.
Talk about
amazing.
the upcharge options for dining.
So the only upcharge is Then there's a brunch at Las Cuevas that they do on Sunday mornings only, and that's a hefty brunch. We weren't even on property for brunch on Sunday, so it wasn't even on our radar. And then the other one that you can pay to do an upcharge for is if you're not staying in Fuego, but you and your spouse want to go to Fuego for dinner, you can do that.
And is there time frames to line these up before you arrive?
So all of your restaurant requests. There are some other reservations you need to make. For example, Teatro del Rio, which is like a dinner theater show, and Jingao, which is the Asian place. So for the teppanyaki there, you would need to make a reservation in advance, in addition to some park reservations, which we will cover in depth in a separate episode. Some parks or excursions require a reservation. You can start to submit those by 30 days, and availability slowly wanes the closer you get. So I would recommend sending it 12 a.m., 30 days out. We got everything we wanted, the day and the time.
Nice.
And this
had
is
a
all
big
just
group,
based on email submission.
Email submission. So either yourself or your travel agent can fill out the wish list for you and send it, and you submit it there. You also include your flight times so they know when you're going to be using the transfers. It's very helpful to get it all lined up before you go.
Love that.
So I didn't get through any of the restaurants, but two. Las Cuevas was great. Las Playas, we had lunch twice. That's down on the beach. It's a great little spot, like kind of like a beach grill.
Love that.
La Trajinera, we ate there on our very first day. It's kind of by the infinity pool. That was good. It was not my favorite. It was a lunch buffet. I thought it was okay. My favorite buffet there was probably Mercado de la Merced, which is like a authentic, like it's themed as an authentic mercado, like a market.
It's awesome
and
inside.
It's beautiful. And it's really cool. The food is phenomenal. We ate there most days for breakfast. Steph and I had dinner, the two of us, the night of the Super Bowl. So my biggest gripe is that of this resort is they had a Super Bowl party, but they did it in the theater. No, everybody's invited. But like, if you didn't show up like 30 minutes early, you weren't getting in because there wasn't enough seats. And then the other option is if you're an adult, you could go up to where there's like 20 seats available in the very small sports bar. So we went back to our room, watched it, and ordered room service that night. And that took 30 minutes. Not 30, 90 minutes.
I'm sure
so the
that
kids
was a
stayed
wait.
and watched football. Steph and I went and grabbed some quick food for the two of us at the Mercado. But it was fine. You know, I would say what's the word I'm looking for? The room service was, average, room service, nothing extraordinary about it, but not bad either.
How about food for the kids? Are your kids picky? Did they find enough to eat there?
Sometimes picky. At most restaurants, they had no problem finding anything. They did try new foods while they were there and really liked the different things. I was so proud of them for trying different things. There is Chibali, I believe what it's called. That's like a family-friendly restaurant. It's a buffet for breakfast and a la carte for lunch. Like it goes to like a late lunch till 6. That was really, really good. That's where we ate lunch there, and I got that giant milkshake. With the donut.
One of those.
I had a strawberry milkshake. It was included, no upcharge. Because those of us who've been on Royal Caribbean lately know all those things are upcharged.
You're paying for that donut.
Yeah,
exactly. So, and then there's a bunch of other restaurants as well. And there's like a vegan restaurant. There's a Oaxacan restaurant. We went there for dinner, which is like authentic Oaxacan food, which is like a region of Mexico. The food was phenomenal. Every meal was really, really good to excellent. So I will say that in the restaurants, like better than any other all-inclusive I've stayed at. I'll just say that.
That's awesome.
Better than Unico.
Yeah, and Unico's got really good food.
Unico has
that
really
being
good
said,
food.
We did cancel our Jingao reservation for our last night because our kids really just wanted to go swimming and hang out. So we did not use our reservation for teppanyaki. We had to cancel that.
How were the pools there?
The pools and the grounds, expansive. There were lots of pools. There, I will say this, there's one family pool that has like an octopus themed water slides. Maybe for kids like 8 and under would probably really enjoy it,
Okay.
No big water park on site, but that's because there's so many inclusions off site.
Right.
But there's like the resort, the ground is so expansive. There's like this saltwater river running through the entire resort, and we were able to jump off of it. There's beaches on all of them. There's beaches along the front. There's a small oceanfront beach. You can do stand-up paddleboarding and kayaking through all of that, and that's all included. And then the coolest part, there's like this island that's between the two resorts in the middle between all the rivers that you can cross bridges to get to. And out there are hidden water slides you have to go search and find, and then it drops you into the river.
That's so
Oh,
cool.
wonderful.
So I messaged you all that picture of the kids, and there was a
Is that
giant
with the iguana?
iguana
iguana.
right
Oh
at the
my
exit
God.
of the water slide. It was so amazing.
Did any
Oh
of them
my
see
gosh.
it, or did they not see it till after they know it was there?
When I took the picture was the second time, so they knew it was there. But the first time they didn't. But they were still super chill about it. So I was really proud of them.
Oh no, not for me.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was an absolute blast.
John, don't they have down by there's places to do snorkeling and stuff right there on site, right?
You can snorkel. I don't know where you'd get the equipment. I think they do have snorkeling equipment somewhere on property. We did not. You would see some decent sized fish, some small fish.
Yeah.
But it's not like really tropical looking fish that are like swimming in the rivers.
Okay.
There are at different parks that we'll talk about later in another episode for the inclusions, and I'll recap the inclusions before we wrap up this episode, just to give people a sneak peek.
Mm-hmm.
But there are plenty of included snorkeling options at other parks and other places that are free for hotel guests. But the grounds are just out, and the pools are beautiful. I will say this: the infinity pool was not an infinity pool edge, or because they were working on the pool somehow, so the water was lowered by about a foot. So it was a little weird. It's like the infinity pool was not all the way full. We swam in it just once, and it was a little disappointing, but that happens, right? People got to work on.
Yeah. Who would? I think we're kind of slowly getting wrapped up on this. Do we have more stuff to chat through, or we need to talk through who this is for?
Let me mention really quickly all the parks that are included. How about that? All the parks and all the experiences. Is that a good thing to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
So I'm going to do a quick run through. We will have an entire episode of our experiences with these inclusions that'll be coming up soon for you all. But so Parque Xcaret, that is the original park that's been there since the 1990s. That has like underwater cave floats, like a small zoo attractions. Like there's like a jaguars that are there and pumas, and there's the best aviary I've ever been to is there. So you have Parque Xcaret. Now they do have this really cool show we didn't get to go to at night that is like, so Parque Xcaret, I will just describe it this. It's almost like people from all around Mexico make a pilgrimage to do this once in their child's life. So it is kind of like a cultural thing. It is a nature park / adventure park / cultural park. And it's very cool, very unique. Nothing else like we have in the United States. Then you have Explore and Explore Fuego. Explore is one of the adventure parks, zip lining, ATV riding, underground cave exploring. So cool. Then you have Xel-Ha, which is like more of a water-themed park. Lots of snorkeling, giant water slide tower. We did not get to do this time because we had to prioritize our days. Because as you see, I'm going to keep going through this list. You have Xochimilco, which is like a dinner. Like you go on these flotilla boats you have a dinner and mariachi playing, and it's like, it's not, they say kids can go, but it's like weird foods, like there's like crickets and things like that, like that the kids may not like. So you have to have really adventure eaters, and there's lots of tequila included. So you may be bringing your kids around.
You might need it for that.
Well, if you're on your best behavior,
cricket shot.
That doesn't mean that everybody else that's on your boat is on their best behavior.
Correct.
So maybe not friendly for your kids.
Yeah.
Then there's Savage, which is like whitewater rafting, and then like canopy tours, and like all bunch of more It's like the adventure park, but then like elevated even more, and that's a little bit further away. Then you have what they call Senses or Shenses. I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's Xenses, and it's the whole thing is to mess with your senses. We did that; it was a lot of fun. Then you have a cenotes tour. And the cenotes tour goes to 4 different cenotes, and that includes like rappelling into caves, ziplining, all kinds of different experiences. Then you have what they call shailing, or which is really just sailing. And they use the X a lot in almost everything, in case you can't tell. And the sailing is basically, they'll do like evening catamarans and stuff like that. It's really cool. You can also take the sailing boat from downtown Cancun out to Isla Mujeres. All of that is included for hotel guests.
But where is all of this stuff? Is it walkable from where you are? Are you getting on a transfer? What's happening?
Depends. None of it's walkable, but 3 parks are on site. Some catamaran sailing stuff goes out of the little marina they built next to Casa de la Playa. The rest of it is a bus transfer.
Okay.
They have a sunset party on the catamarans that goes out of for adults only, out of Casa de la Playa as well. Anybody who's an adult that's staying on property can do that for free. Then you have 3 additional tours that have small upgraded, actually not all of them, just Chichen Itza. They have a tour you can add on. That's a full day tour. It's like 3 hours out, 3 hours back. So you need to be ready to be on the bus a long time for Chichen Itza.
Wow.
They have a Tulum tour that you can do Tulum by itself or combine with Zelha, which is a great option. And then they have Koba, which is another like ruins that you can go to, and you can combine that with Zelha as well.
So when you said 2 weeks, you really meant it.
Yeah.
I really did mean it. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 separate tours or parks that are included. So many. You could do a different activity a day for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So Sean asked, who is this for? I'm
go.
curious, who do you guys think it's for, not having been?
Not someone that wants to go lay on a beach for a week.
Yeah, this isn't a beach,
This
a
is
beach
an
vacation.
Active people. I've already started, mentally planning my own family trip because you just made it look. I've wanted to go there for forever, and then seeing your pictures and hearing all your experiences. But my son is going to be 4 this year. Like, he's still too young, I think.
So, 5 is like the cutoff for like all the parks are 5 and up.
Too soon. Yeah, it's too soon.
This is my family's perfect Cancun escape.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Active,
Absolutely.
party of 3. What's up?
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't like really laying on the beach and relaxing, right, John? Like, you're a go
John.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me or Sean?
Yeah.
Well, both of y'all. Aren't you both goers?
I can
John
do a
likes
whole
to
week.
be. John likes to be on the beach a bit more than I do.
So like we've done Finest Playa Mujeres and Finest Punta Cana and like other resorts that are heavily lay on the beach by the pool. But if we're there for a full week, I need to get off the resort at least once during a week. Sean, I feel like needs to get off at least 3 or 4 times in a week.
Maybe once a day. Once every other day.
You need to take some resort days, my friend. Learn how to relax.
Yes.
I'm a doer, John. I'm a doer.
So the way I wrote down in my notes who I think this is for, I would say folks with a healthy budget. Because there's so much included, it is not an inexpensive trip. I would say families of 4 with children 6 years and older who are all active individuals. If you have a hard time walking up the stairs in your house or walking out to the mailbox, you are not physically ready for this trip. There were days when I had 18,000 steps. So,
oh my gosh.
I mean, it is an active trip. When you're going ziplining, you are hiking to the top of every one of those towers. Some of it is a literal ladder at the end of this, like not ladder, but like a step ladder, going up. It is an active trip. I've also said for foodies who are active, this would be a great trip because the food options are phenomenal. I would say
Treat
maybe
yourself,
the only other resort that would probably that comes to my mind immediately that would hold a candle to this would be Grand Velas. That has a ton of award-winning restaurants as well.
But that's a drastically different overall trip compared to this as well.
That's a lay by the beach trip.
Yeah.
Grand Velas for sure. You can still do tours, and it's right next to Xcaret Parks. Like that's
okay.
Grand Velas is just down the road from the Xcaret, but it's a different vibe. It is much more like
and
pampering.
Probably even a bigger budget.
Right. And then I would also say couples who are very active. This is a great resort, or Xcaret Arte, honestly.
Yep.
One downside I will say about the resort, I don't want to end on a negative note, so I won't end here, but it is massive. So if you do not like a large resort, this may not be the resort for you. So for me, a lot of the resorts we go to, we're either staying club level or it's like a more medium-sized resort. The check-in here is like insane. Like it's just, they're checking in a ton of people, right? And instead of when you check in, so you get there before your room's ready, instead of just programming your bands and texting you when you're ready, like the band that you get, like a magic band, you have to go back and get all of your magic bands or your bands re-tapped. And you have to wait in the same line as you did when you checked in.
Oof.
And That is
not
just
the
so
best way to
frustrating
start.
to me.
Yeah.
Right. So that to me was
a
the
lot
downside.
of day in your trip just for that.
Your very beginning of the trip, waiting in line. So that would, for me, I feel like there's a better way to do it. And also I will give a warning there, when the person escorts you from the desk to start giving you a tour, know that they're not just giving you a tour, they are trying to sell you a timeshare. And the timeshares are not expensive or not inexpensive, and they are meant to lock you in to that resort in the future. So be very aware. Be very, very aware. They were not super aggressive. There's some other resorts that are more aggressive, but you seem to know that. And
it's
what
really
makes
common
this
in Cancun to do that.
Yeah. There's only like 3 or 4 resorts now that don't have a timeshare or membership of some sort, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that being said, one of the best vacations we've ever had. And we'll get to the reasons why probably on the next episode. The resort's amazing and breathtaking. Now, we'll say this. My brother, I'll end it on this. My brother, who doesn't do a lot of all-inclusive travel, doesn't travel internationally a lot, who is notoriously like, they're savers. Like they save really, they're really aggressive savers, paying off student loans, they're really good at that. He said to me, and his wife said to me, 2 things they said. One is, we totally see the value because there's so much included. And the food is so amazing. Like if we were going to add this all up when we were in Hawaii, it would be double the price. And they're not wrong. In addition to that, they said to us before they left, and these are the ones who are like, we'll do this once and be done sort of thing. They went from that to saying, okay, we totally get it. We are now rethinking of how we're going to, because they're about to do an addition to their house. We're like, well, maybe we can finance a little bit more of that than we initially thought. and my brother's like, and I can take some extra overtime shifts at the hospital. We
can do this again.
And this is what he says to me. And he says, we'll do this. We'll try to figure out a way to do this 3 times a year.
3 times a year?
3 times a year.
Oh my gosh.
You would need to be financed to do that.
Yeah,
that's a big jump right
from
there.
1 to 3 times a year. So it just tells you what a spectacular trip we had and how perfect this was for our family.
He should have bought a timeshare.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to do that resort 3 times a year. He wants to travel like
all
that.
inclusive.
All-inclusive vacations.
I was confused. I thought he wanted to go there 3 times a year.
No. They saw they really saw the value in it. So you will see it when you get to quoted this resort. If you reach out to us and we send you a quote, you will see there's a bit of a sticker shock, right? When you first see the price, but the inclusions are just
that's where it's at.
Right. And if you're planning to stay on the beach and not use those inclusions, this is probably not the best resort.
Go elsewhere.
Yeah.
Right. So
definitely.
That being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. I can't say enough great things about Hotel Xcaret. We had so much fun. I think my last post I posted, I was super emotional leaving, and I was like, we had genuine core memories being made for our kids and their cousins. Like when we got in the car, both of my boys started crying, like at the airport, like I don't know, like driving to our house. And Jack goes, I just can't believe it's over. And then my brother, then my other son, Matthias, says to me, he goes, Dad, I just don't want to go back to regular life. And then he goes, I'm just gonna miss my cousins so bad, and it's not Mexico. So it was just like the bonding and the quality time we had was priceless.
Yes.
So if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, we would love to hear about you. We would love to connect with you. You can find us by doing a search for the Where We Roam podcast on Facebook. Additionally, please like and subscribe and share the podcast with your friends. We would love to continue to talk to you about Hotel Xcaret and other parks and tours and other types of travel, from cruising to you name it. We talk about travel. That being said, I'm John, and I'm joined by my fellow podcasters, and we look forward to seeing you real soon. Bye-bye.